audience might be trick-or-treaters, and your format might be a letter of complaint as to why am I treated so unfairly over a silly superstition for being a black cat, okay? Or what if, oh, I like this one. What if your role was your stomach and your audience were trick-or-treaters? Your format might be a letter of complaint that says candy upsets us.
What? Wait, I don't get it.
You are going to choose a role. Now, your role is already chosen for you because you learned it yesterday. Now, your audience is going to be different for everybody. And let me give you a couple examples from social studies. Social studies perspective. Let's pretend, let's choose Ben Franklin. Let's say you were writing from Ben Franklin's perspective. And your audience was Dear Abby, with the Dear Abby columns, where they write in for advice. So the format would be an advice column letter. And the topic might be somebody wrote into Ben Franklin saying, my son likes the British, what should I do? Or what if, oh, look down here, the Great Wall of China. So if your role, you were writing as the Great Wall of China and your audience is yourself because you're writing the format as a diary, your topic might be invaders I have seen and stopped. Okay? Now, you are taking on the role of a social class in the Shang Dynasty. So, for example, Maria, Gabby, let's say we'll take yours. And yours was a slave, okay?
Yeah.
So, we know that her role as a slave. Who is probably going to be her audience?
My master.
Other slave.
My master.
Danielle?
Master.
The master. Okay? Now, what could the format of Gabby's paper be? Luke?
Complaint. I'm being beaten with a stick.
What kind of
Letter.
a letter of, so she could write a letter of complaint. And the topic could be,
Can I get it?
Jackson?
Why, like, complaining for why she has to work for them.
Okay, so that is one example. Okay, now each of you have a different social class. So you're gonna have to think about, if you're a farmer, who is your audience most likely gonna be? Now yesterday, remember we talked about farmers didn't own their land, right? So think about that. I want you to think. I want you to think, what would my audience be? What if I was a noble? Who would my audience be? If I was a craftsman, who would my audience be? Now, you've got a bunch of different ideas of ways you could format this. You could write a letter. You could write a travel guide. You could write a diary. You could write a newspaper article. You get to choose how you want to format this. And then your topic is going to kind of probably be pulling from these details that you wrote yesterday, right? Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I have made everybody a nice sheet where you are going to fill in your role, your audience, your format, and your topic. This is going to help you keep centered on where you're writing and what you're writing about. Then you have all of this space to either write your letter, your newspaper article, your diary entry, however you want to format it. Okay? Allie?
Well, I'm a noble, and so could you write a letter of complaint to like the craftspeople and say they're not building the stuff right or something?
You could, as long as you support it with details about what's important to a noble. Now that's why I need you to pull from these details that you wrote about last night. Max?
Is there like, if you're a slave, because I'm a slave, you have to write it only to your masters, or could you write it to like maybe a higher class saying, why can't I be like moved up to maybe
You
a
could do
farmer?
that too. I also thought about if you were a slave, what's the one thing that they ended up doing with slaves?
Sacrifice.
Yeah, so maybe you could write a letter pleading, please don't sacrifice me. Please don't kill me. Yes, Dina.
Well, I'm a craftsman or craftspeople, and I was wondering, can I do like a letter announcing the new bronze helmets
There
for
you
the
go.
army?
It could almost be like a newspaper ad or a huge article that says, announcing this. You know, it's the newest, version of this tool has now been completed by this craftsperson. Okay? Yes, Candy?
Well, even though we have like details here, are we still allowed to go back to it?
Absolutely. I would recommend if you still need more details or you're having a hard time understanding the roles between the two classes, go back to your textbook. Yes, Alice?
So all we need is a role, an audience, and a format.
topic, and you are gonna have time to go ahead and write. Jackson.
Are we gonna be typing them up at the end on the computer?
Right now, I haven't determined if we're gonna be typing them, so right now, I just want you to write. Emma.
Well, let's say that you were like a slave, could you like write to like your twin sister if you don't like have one, like saying, will you switch spots with me?
As long as you are using details, as long as I see details from your history frame that shows me that you know about your social class, that's what I'm more concerned about. You have a lot of leeway in the way that you're going to write this, but I need to make sure that you are comprehending what your social class is about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, Danielle?
Okay, so like say that I reread the paragraph again and I'm a slave. So if I notice something that I didn't write down, could I just add this?
Absolutely. Yeah. Eric?
Well, like, are we gonna get to like act these out?
I hadn't thought about acting them out. We can definitely think about that. We're not going to have time to do it tomorrow, but we can talk about maybe doing that after break. Ethan?
Does it have to be from one of those formats?
No. Well, what is your idea?
Well,
Please excuse the interruption. 8th grade students and teachers that are going on the CIA field trip. At this time, you may go ahead and head down to the cafeteria for your lunch. Only for the 8th grade students going on the CIA trip today. Thank you.
Okay, question?
I was just gonna, like if I thought of something.
If you think of something, maybe run it by me, and we'll check just to make sure it's okay. Question, Wendy?
Well, I was just wondering, if you're like the noble, if you like, could you
Send a letter to like the king saying like I deserve to get the seal.
Okay, before I give you this sheet, I need to show you the rubric that I'm going to grade this by. Okay? I've attached it for you, so that when you turn this back in, I will have the rubric right here and I can refer to it and go back and forth. The rule says, how well did you sound like the person whose voice you were writing in? Got 4, 3, 2, and 1. Audience, how well did you acknowledge the group of people the writing was intended for? So make sure it's clear, I can tell who you're writing to. Format, how well did the writing take the shape of what was originally expected? So I'm going to be able to tell because you're going to have written it up here. I should be able to clearly be able to define it in your paragraphs, however you're choosing to write it. And then the last section says, topic, how well did you prove you've learned the content expected by the assignment? Yes, Kim?
if we don't finish, is it gonna be homework? Is it tomorrow?
But you've got the rest of the period to work on this. Danielle?
How many points will I get?
20 points. Any other questions before I hit this out? Luke?
If we're writing a diary, then how would we write us?
The audience would be yourself.
I know, we're supposed to refer to ourselves.
No, but if you've written up here, you know, my format is diary, I'll know that you're writing to yourself.
I know, but on that one rubric page.
I'll know. Because you're gonna write dear diary, and then you're going to write first person, right? So I'll know that your audience is yourself. Kelsey, did you have a question?
No.
No? Anybody else? Isabel?
On this first person, where like, anyone's not like you're talking to somebody else, like,
Yeah, you're writing in first person, that's exactly right.
is first person like something?
No, you're using I. Just like you said, today was a rough day for me. Using me and I pronouns. Any more questions before I give this out? Nope. Okay, I'll go ahead and let you get started.
Gracias.
What's the first thing you're gonna do?